Hey, what the hell? Where did this come from? Star Trek 4 was dead because they couldn't pay both Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth because they're two big stars now, and they cost a lot of money, and Paramount, well, just doesn't have it. Especially since their reboot Star Trek franchise just crashed and burned. It started off very strong, the first film I still enjoy. Then Star Trek Into Darkness came along, which was a lazy ripoff of Wrath of Khan, and with a little bit of 9/11 truther theories tucked into the plot. And that was about it. But it gave you a peek of how J.J. Abrams would treat Star Wars, didn't it? Yeah, it sure did. But it worked out at first for Star Wars for a little while, and then people caught on. Oh, crap. But meanwhile, Star Trek was in a lot of trouble. So then, of course, the split between the movie version and the TV series happens, and then they try to do Star Trek Discovery, which was just awful. I mean, great special effects, and I kind of like the theme song. Yeah, I did. But no respect for continuity. This thing, which is an alternate universe, just by that point, is more respectful to continuity than Star Trek Discovery, which you listen to Midnight's Edge and they get into the weeds, and it's the only thing that makes sense is that they're contractually obligated to make it different and all this sort of thing, and so they had to. But why didn't they just set Discovery in a distant time future or something like that, and then nobody could really question it? Who's to say, Right. It shows that original Star Trek merchandise sells better than in the other versions, so they went for that. That's what, unfortunately, as of now, they're not selling anything in that regard, except, I guess, merchandise that refers to the original show. So there was no way for them to really make the big money off of this sort of thing. And, of course, merchandise is a big part of making buttloads of money off of these genre franchises. And, not even Star Wars can sell their new stuff now. So you got to actually have something good on screen. So, yeah, they had a good one. This cast is very good. I don't know what they could do better, especially with Carl Urban just nailing Dr. McCoy, which was probably the hardest of the three big characters in the story. McCoy was the hardest one to get, in my opinion, and boy, did he. And so there it is. Meanwhile, it would have been nice to have a TV series that was set in the real, or the original, if however you wish to put it, universe, that respected the property and had people who knew how to, at the very least, knew how to write science fiction. But that didn't happen. And so Star Trek has fallen very, very far down a black hole. And as far as this cast getting another shot at a Star Trek movie seemed highly unlikely. There was this business of Quentin Tarantino, which is fascinating and all that, but come on. It's never gonna, maybe he'll have some involvement with some version or not. I don't know, but I doubt it. He is a fan of Star Trek, it turns out, but that's about all it is, I think. So, out of the blue, as far as I knew, Noah Hawley, who did great work with the Fargo TV series and some fascinating work with Legion. I didn't quite like the way it ended, but it's best that he ended it before he, kept it going until it rotted on the on the vine, like some shows I could mention, Walking Dead. So he's an interesting guy. He's got talent, and I have some amount of hope that Star Trek can make a comeback. It'll probably, it is this version, since they're saying it's Chris Pine. So, Star Trek 4 is in the works at Paramount Pictures with Legion and Fargo creator Noah Hawley in final talks to write and direct the final talks. Well, anyway, hopefully this is a done deal. So, Hawley will also produce under his 26 Keys banner alongside J.J. Abrams for Bad Robot. And hopefully that's in name only. So they'll cut a check for J.J. I mean, he created this version of Star Trek, so I guess, you always got to give a nod to Bad Robot. But hopefully that's all there is to it. And this will be a Noah Hawley story. So, no information has been revealed about its eventual plot, but the movie will be the fourth installment of the Star Trek reboot series launched by Abrams in 2009. This will also be the first foray into the popular sci-fi franchise for Noah Hawley, as Abrams and Justin Lin helmed the previous 3 entries in the series. Yeah, Star Trek Beyond wasn't as good as the first one, but it wasn't as bad as Into Darkness. And I don't know, the franchise might have carried on had they done Beyond first, and just forget about Into Darkness. But it's still, rock and roll saves the world at the end of that. It's stupid. So, but yeah, not as bad as Into Darkness. So, franchise star Chris Pine is expected to return. Uh-oh. but hopefully he will, to reprise the role of Captain James T. Kirk alongside other castmates such as Zachary Quinto as Spock, Zoe Saldana as Uhura, Simon Pegg as Scotty, Carl Urban as McCoy, and John Cho as Sulu. Yes, sadly, Anton Yelchin died in that freak accident. That was really bad. So yeah, I don't think they'll recast him. I think they'll just, probably have a mention that he died in between the movies at some point, the character. And in this version of the universe, that's what happened to poor Chekhov. It's too bad. Yelchin, he was a young guy, and there was a lot of potential for him. And God, it's just an awful story. But anyway, as Abrams said, following the actor's death, the role wouldn't be recast. Okay, so he has some amount of decency, I suppose. It's also worth noting all of the cast members have yet to officially sign on to the project, as it's in the early stages of development. So it's not guaranteed we'll be seeing every other character from the previous movies. So I'm thinking, now Carl Urban, he's got the Boys going on, which is a really fun show. I mean, it's really dark and nasty, but still pretty good performance there. But hopefully he'll have time, because without him, man, I don't know. Simon Pegg will probably do it. Zoe Saldana, I don't know. They might have to come up with a change. I think Zachary Quinto's all for it. And Chris Pine, well, they got to pay him. So it goes in through the history, which I already talked about. And yeah, the R-rated spinoff of Tarantino, which I don't think that's going to happen. They say Paramount's still planning. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. So maybe this will happen, and maybe they can get it, tee-hee, and get at least one more film out of this pretty good cast, which I hate to see wasted. If they can reunite this cast and come up with an interesting Star Trek story. Now, the story that they were supposed to go with, which involved a time travel element again, similar to the first movie, in which Chris Pine's Kirk would meet his father, played by Chris Hemsworth. Well, Chris Hemsworth was pretty much an unknown at the time the original movie was done, and now, of course, he's Thor, and a big star because of Marvel. And so he's worth a hell of a lot more money, and they can't swing it. Even though as the companies, or Viacom reforms itself, there's still the problem of getting the money to produce these things. And the star pay is what killed the original project, because they just couldn't afford to pay both of them what they're worth because of their star status. And that was the end of that. But considering it's the same crew writing these stories, maybe that was for the best. And we might get some interesting story out of Hawley. That being said and all, and I hope for the best for it, and we'll keep track of it, but I kind of wish he was actually producing a new Star Trek TV series. I've liked his approach to television, and the idea, one of the rumors about a new Star Trek TV show had been the anthology template to it, and I kind of wondered if you could have gotten 8 episodes of this cast to do one season of a Hawley Star Trek series. And that would be a lot cooler. And plus, it gives you more time to develop stories and make it more like Star Trek's supposed to be. And then the next season would be someone else in some other era of Star Trek and that sort of thing. That might have been better. But it's not going to happen because Star Trek as television is still under the current regime, which just doesn't know how to write Star Trek. And yeah, I know Picard, I had some interest in it, but now it's looking like that's just a bait and switch. So maybe not. Hopefully not. Hopefully Picard can be good if they've learned their lesson, but I remain dubious. So anyway, there's some Star Trek news that came out of nowhere. Just wasn't even really looking for. That's the thing about this. When you talk about like Snyder Cut and stuff like that, and then there's other rumors about Superman appearing in the Black Adam movies and all that, there actually might be real discussions about something like that, and it just takes a while before it comes out. So who knows how long this has been talked about, and Noah Hawley had any interest in approaching Star Trek. So fascinating little tidbit here. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you. That's right, you.